In today's video, fueled mostly by unprofessional equipment and some cussing in foreign language, I bring you the fine art of rustproofing. Well, to bring you up to speed, this is my 2004 Chevy Tahoe Z71 that I bought last year because I moved to the Midwest and I realized that my vehicles that mostly had two-wheel drives or one-wheel drive have basically incapacity of dealing with snow. When I bought it, it was actually in really very decent shape. It had a little bit of rust here and there, nothing really special, nothing really major. But a year later, all of a sudden, things have started to blossom. Let me just grab my handy dandy Harbor Freight light, and as you can see, yeah, that got pretty nasty. So that kind of prompted me to actually do some rust protection on this before the winter starts, and I kind of decided to give you a little bit of a, I guess, a couple of points. What I did on my previous two vehicles, I did fluid film. I actually got a gallon bucket and sprayer, and I did it the correct way. For some reason, the other stuff that I'm actually using on the Tahoe did not came into the on my radar. I don't know why. I didn't have problem with the fluid film per se. It was easy to apply. It kind of did its thing. It cracked a little bit, kind of spread itself a little bit. So I was happy from that standpoint of view. The problem is fluid film does wash out. So a year later, it's pretty much gone from the vehicle that I applied to. So all the metal, especially on the frame rails where they get spray from the wheels of the water and slush, it's bone dry now. So I did a little bit of research, and Tahoe is gonna get Cosmoline treatment. Actually, he's getting a Cosmoline treatment right now, but since I'm kind of halfway through it, while I'm replacing the shocks, I decided to take this little short video and kind of do a little side trip, if you like. Because what I noticed that most of the videos on YouTube that deal with any kind of rust protection explanation, most of the guys or most of the people don't remove the wheel liner. These little plastic shells that go inside of the wheel arches and basically protect a lot of sheet metal from the spray, which is true. But I decided to take them out for the reason being because yes, they do protect a lot, but as you can tell, there is still a lot of overspray that still gets trapped behind them. That's one thing. It does cover some of the access points, so it's easier to spray, of course, on top of the rails, when on top of the frame, on top of all this metal when they're not in place. And see, you can actually see the line where that protection stops. So they do work, but again, the problem is they do tend to trap a lot of stuff, and you cannot really access the stuff that you want to protect. Like for instance, these old pinch welds. You cannot access them. And what I noticed also is, thanks Chevy, look how they did this panel. They did it literally backwards, because these edges, instead of being underneath like a shingle, they're actually overlapping in a most bizarre way that's actually designed to actually trap water, salt, mud, you name it, and of course that thing will rust as well. Also, there is again a little pocket here that's again behind the wheel. Let me get my hand out of the way. Behind the liner, so of course you have all kinds of stuff getting trapped in there, which is not actually as bad on the rear wheel, but on the front wheel. I'm gonna bring the light on and I'm gonna take you on a journey, which I was really surprised, and I was really glad that I took all that out. For the reason being is because there's an actual pocket here. I don't know, can you tell? There we go. There's an actual pocket in there that when I took the wheel liner out, I took about, I'm gonna say handful, maybe even 2 handfuls of wet sand, that was just packed in there. They created this pocket in here, and they didn't even bother to put a weep hole on the other side. So as you can tell, there is Cosmoline on the bottom of that pulling in, because it's got nowhere to go. And you know, you think, okay, if stuff get packed in there, and mind you, that stuff was actually wet and soggy, and I didn't drive this car for a while, or wash this car for a while, so it was soggy and wet for God knows how long. And I'm thinking, well, good thing I actually pulled that out. So back to the Cosmoline story. A couple of tips about spraying it around. This straw that the cans come with it, that's your biggest friend right there. The reason is because if you don't attach the straw onto the spray can, it will actually spray almost like a rattle can's paint type deal. So messy everywhere without any direction, just kind of, you know, it will just spit everywhere. Now, if you the other thing that I noticed, that with the Cosmoline, with the fluid film, it was actually fairly easy to apply. It was just a matter of spraying it everywhere, and it won't hurt anything. It won't look any bad because you can always wash it. This thing is nasty. I actually, first time I was applying it, I made a mistake of just wearing the usual clothes. Well, that clothes is trashed right now. It's the Cosmoline will get in your hair, in your skin. You will smell like you were living in a basement for 20 years in some dungeon or something like that. It does have a very nasty smell. Cosmoline, fluid film also smells, and actually smells much stronger, and it will linger for, gosh, oh my God, almost a month, even if not more, in the car. But it's kind of pleasant. It's kind of lemonish type deal. So it's not offensive. This is just a chemical thing. Secondly, what I noticed, that you cannot really apply a thick coat of Cosmoline right off the bat. It doesn't work like that. It's too thin. So even if you apply it a lot, it would just literally run down the panel that you're actually trying to apply, and it will just drip down. You don't see it on the floor. Actually, you can see a couple of spots right there, because I actually had a whole bunch of like tarps and panels and boxes and whatnot to prevent that catastrophe. And you can, let me see if I can zoom somewhere. There you go. You can kind of see what happens when you overdo it. And the problem is, if you overdo it and you don't wipe it immediately, it would stay like that. So on the frames, who cares? But it does seep on your outer panels, and I'll show you what happened when I was doing the hood. I actually had a little bit leak onto this rubber piece here, and of course now it's all set in, and I cannot wipe it off. I cannot take care of it, so it looks pretty darn ugly. But so basically what you have to resort to is multiple thin layers, and distance is your friend. So you do have to have like a, you know, at least like, I don't know, 10-20 inches type deal. That's what she said, I don't know, to kind of spray it off. But I want to show you what happened is, if you make it, like for instance right there, you can see it's already forming the drops. And if you don't get those drops right off the bat, hold on, I don't have no gloves, if anything, I think it'll be fine. They will actually remain like that. And again, on the frames, who cares? But on the other side, it will cause some really nasty runs, because this thing is amber colored, and you have about maybe a minute to wipe it off. After that, it hardens, and it's so long. Unless you have some paint thinner or something like that, it will remain there. So I think it's going to be a good product. What I'm going to do is, I did about few coats here. I'm going to repeat it on the hind end, and then I actually going to finish it up with the fluid film. which doesn't sound like a logical thing to do, but I consider this as a base coat, and then that's gonna kind of be like a hardened shell type deal. And then fluid film, I'm gonna spray it once a year before the winter to kind of act as a sacrificial layer, if you like. They can self-heal, and you know, even more is the better, I guess. And that's pretty much it.